This world is broken. The science is outdated, the math is incomplete, and the people are so blinded by greed that they cannot see the way forward.
Wait. You're not thinking of intervening, are you?
It has to be corrected. Knowledge is not a commodity. It has been and always will be their future. Standing in the shadows is no longer an option. We have to teach them to share freely without fear of retribution.
There is too much to teach for just one person.
I know. We will have to recruit more people who think the right way. The people who have been shunned by the mainstream. People who have the passion in their heart for the science.
How do we find all of these people then?
We create an open forum to discuss ideas and build ties. We let everyone have a voice, and we never let greed dictate our path.
What do we call it then? Oh, I got it. The Fringe think tank.
The Fringe think tank it is then. Now let's give them back their destiny and open it up to the world.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. We got the Benefactor here today, and we got Joe. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Ben? What's up, Nathan? What's up, Ben?
Man, we're going to be rocking it today. We're going to be talking about the Thunderstorm Generator.
What's going on, everybody? Sorry, I just had to check on the 3D print real quick.
Not a problem, man. It's going to be a good episode, dude. This is something I think everybody that is in the chat wanted to talk about for a while now. It just took me some time to get around to it. So, hey, real quick, I want to show this real fast. I'm sorry. This right here, Ben, just basically these are the members on Ben's channel. He just wanted to say thank you to everybody out there who joined his channel.
Yes, we really appreciate all the new members. We had, I think, 3 or 4 new members sign up last time I went live. So that was really amazing. Really appreciate all you guys. We're 1 member away from unlocking 3 more of these emojis. I actually have some here if you want to see some of the new ones that we can be unlocking.
Yeah, put them up.
You want me to show you some of those?
Absolutely.
Let me pull it up in the presentation window. Oh, there it is.
You got it?
Okay. Yep. Here it is. So here we have Phil. We got Phil. We want to unlock Phil. So
right on.
Yo, I want
to remember and we'll unlock. Yeah.
I like the one where he's flipping people off, man. That was a better one.
So happy that he flipped somebody off.
Yo, where's the bottle of wine, though?
Yeah. Oh, come on now. Give Phil a hard time.
No.
Phil's awesome, man.
We have,
look at that coil.
Yes,
very cool.
We have the Nunez LED lamp, which is the rodent lamp. It's something that I'm going to be working on in the future.
Is that rope LED, and then you put it in one of the coil frames?
Yep, that's what we're going to be doing.
Oh,
and he also did it with fiber optics too.
Yeah, I got to try that.
Yeah, it's neat, right? It's like it serves as a lamp itself, so it's really cool. And we have another Nathan emoji.
Oh, got the old man in there.
Yeah,
watch out. Right on. Oh, you got to put a better picture than that, man. I like Mike.
Oh, there we go. Here's the Mark I coil, one of my favorite tools to work with right now. I think we already have Mike unlocked.
Oh, do you?
If we don't, here he is.
We'll have to put him in there.
Yeah, I can't remember if we have him unlocked or not, but if
I
not,
didn't see him last time I was on there.
Yeah, I think he's not unlocked yet. So let's unlock Mike, and
nice.
And then we have Lulu.
Nice,
this is a good one. So these are really good photos of everybody. I got everybody in action. You know, everybody at their best. So
nice, that's so cool, man.
I do have more, but I don't want to go into all of them because they're not organized, and you know, you might see a unedited photo there or two.
Uh-oh. Gotta watch out for those.
Yeah.
You don't want your pee-pee slipping through.
Uh-oh. now we're getting in deep.
Last time I was worried about a nip slip.
Wow, already on the wrong track for today.
Yeah. Off the rails before we
Yeah,
left
before we
the
even
station.
started. Guys, I just want to say thank you to all the members on my channel right here.
Oh,
Guys,
wow.
you
Look
guys
at
are
everybody.
totally awesome. And then all the members on my Patreon, you guys are making this whole thing rock and roll for me, man. So I'm able to afford more stuff and build more projects. So I just want to say thank you to everybody out there. I really do appreciate everybody.
It's really awesome. Yes, thank you guys for all the love and support.
Very cool. And if you haven't already, cough up some dough and support these two gentlemen.
Right on. With that said, let's get into it, guys. I got a short video, about 30 minutes, and then we're all going to have a discussion.
Sounds good.
Let's talk about the Thunderstorm Generator. What exactly is it? You see, people get lost in the first portion of the Thunderstorm Generator. They look at the ionization, and then they look at the bubbles, and they try to understand what's going on there. Let me just tell you, it's a very simple process. All you're trying to do is break the bubbles down to the smallest possible bubbles that you possibly can in order to separate them in the next part of the Thunderstorm Generator. So this is the heart of it right here. This portion right here is the most important part of this whole system. It's where you're going to get transmutation. It's where you're going to get your harmonics from. You're going to get sacred geometry. Bob Greenyer talks about this all the time when he talks about the sacred geometry. Now, let me tell you, this is going to be kind of difficult if you do not understand harmonics. But that's okay. We're going to talk about it today on a level where you can understand what's going on. So, let's start off with this. Very simple, very understandable. If I take this Tesla coil and I put it next to this Tesla coil right here, right? This Tesla coil is automatically going to put plasma at the top. This Tesla coil has to be tuned to the exact same frequency of this one while the number 1 coil and the number 2 coil are oscillating, which basically means this Tesla coil, even if it says 360 when you put it there on your oscilloscope, this says 360, right? It's going to drop 100 kilohertz. That number is the exact number that has to go into this. Now, build the first one, go on, build the second one. It's fairly easy. What happens when you put them next to each other? Here's where your harmonics start to come in. This one right here picks up everything into it while this one's oscillating. Now, there's going to be a null zone right here. You're going to get a north and you're going to get a south. Each one of them creates a tornado up and a tornado down. Each one of them puts out plasma. This one is attached to the power source. This has no physical attachment whatsoever. It is simply a number 2 coil. The reason I tell you this is because you have to understand that you're going to create plasma out of this just by understanding harmonics and frequency. It'll create plasma on its own. You see, you get confused with this Tesla coil because this one right here, you're putting something in. So you talk about, oh, how many volts, how many amps, how am I going to make it work? How am I going to create this? But what are you creating? You're simply creating the frequency. You're creating that ring. That ring looks like a tornado in real life. Now you're starting to create your harmonics. Your harmonics transfer wirelessly into this. The more tuned your first coil is, the more energy you get out of your second coil. Now I say this because we're creating out of harmonics electricity. We're creating plasma. Y'all want to make plasmoids? You all want to create ball lightning? How are you going to do it? Well, if you understood the Tesla coil in the way it's supposed to be understood, the Tesla coil ring, the harmonics of it, Okay? The octaves. Do you understand if it's in the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth? Do you understand if it's in A, B, C, D, E, and an F? Do you understand those things? If you do, then this was fairly easy exercise for you. You absolutely have it. You have energy being created in a ball, and that's the way it works. All it has to have is the frequency. It has to have the harmonics in it. You can create the energy. You say, well, those things sound abstract. They don't sound like that you're putting energy into it to create the energy, but they are. You see, the frequency, the harmonics, they are the energy. Pretty different understanding than the way that you understand your circuits, isn't it? With that very understanding, let's go into the Thunderstorm Generator, and let's start to understand this a little better. Harmonic series on A, just like that. Here are the numbers they break out to. What do you got to know? This is pretty simple. Let's just make this easy. First one starts out in A, it's 55. All we have to do is add that number each time to the next one. 55 plus 55 is 110, plus 55 is 165. That's really easy, right? That's all we're doing. 55, 110, 165, and so on. Let's just keep this simple, guys. That's it. For every one that goes 2 to 1, you have an octave. Okay, so you're just building a musical scale here. That's about as simple as it gets. I don't want to go any more into it. Please refer to somebody who does this every day to understand that. Our understanding doesn't have to go much further than that. We just have to understand it in this as well. When I take a string right here and I hold it tight and then I vibrate it, I get this right here. Full string vibration. When I let loose the tension a little bit, it goes in halves. When I do it a little bit more, it goes in thirds. A little bit more in fourths, and then so on and down. Now, with that understanding, and I know it's a lot there, you don't have to know much more than that about it. Our distance here is where we're going to get it. That's why it's important. Our distance here is where it is. That's why it's important. We are literally creating a music scale with this device. What else are we creating? We create our in, which is hot, our out, which is cold. You go, oh, sorry, I do that to, you understand what I mean. Either way, hot comes in, cold comes out. You go, okay, well, hold on. We just talked about Tesla coil. We said they're tornadoes. Hot and cold, tornado. Every time we hear it on the news, hot and cold system come together, we start creating tornadoes, right? Oh, we're starting to put it together now. This man is literally trying to make a tornado between these 2 points. He's ringing this sucker like a bell in order to do it. See, he correctly understood every time they put something into the music scale, he gets something else. So let's look at this in a different way. Tornado down to a point. The ring of our Tesla coil. They're the same thing. Right here, right here, right here, right here. Now we're getting our octaves. Right here. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. Now we understand what we're doing. We now associate that with a frequency. Now, that's pretty simple, right? That's a Tesla coil ring, that's our tornado. When I tell you he's creating a tornado here, now it should start to make sense. He's ringing each one, and each one of these balls will put off something that looks like this. Pretty simple, right? Ring them, just like bells. Now we start to create our plasma. That's your null zone, right there. There's your ring, right here where it comes out, on each one. Each one of these has the ring, and the plasma now comes out here. Now I have two plasmoids. In rotation here. But I also have, if I say this is my outside, this is my inside, I now have cold and heat. Now I can create this just like nature does. That's why it's the Thunderstorm Generator. You are literally taking the harmonics like the Earth does. You're creating plasma, just like we see in our Tesla coil. We're creating a ring, just like we see in our Tesla coil, and using harmonics to get there. This is the simplest understanding you can get of this. Now, if you're a builder, it starts to get a little bit more complicated. You see, all of this has to do with math. All of it. You're going to have to take this thing down and break it down. Every single number matters. If your number isn't correct, my distance here and here, my distance here and here, if they're not correct, you'll be in the wrong octave. You can be completely out of frequency. You can be in between them. You see, each one matters. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to calculate it based on the volume of a sphere. Each one, you're going to have to do the calculation. V equals 4 over 3 times pi times the radius to the third power. All this, guys, that's not really hard to break down. Okay? That's pi, right there. 8.539. That's this. You just got to put that number right here. Your radius. What is the distance between this and this right here? That's my radius. Okay? That's pretty simple. We just take the R out and we replace it with a number. Sorry, just from the math. I showed the distance right there. Radius is half of that. Number. Third power, right here. What do we got to do? We got to take the number, say if it's 3, multiply it by 3 by 3. That's pretty simple. We could do that, right? Now we broke down the problem fairly easily. Everyone is multiplied by the next one, right? Pretty simple understanding volume of a sphere. When you're building it, you're going to have to understand that because these have to be exact. This layer, this layer, this layer. They have to be exact because in order for this to work, it must create the correct distance to create the correct harmonic in order for it to run. In a very few seconds, we just covered, a few minutes I should say, we covered a lot of ground. Guys, this is not for the first time person out there to try to build. This is a very advanced build. This part has very specific instructions on how to build it. It's a known formula to work. Now, once you build the first one, and only once you build the first one, can you build the second one and change it. And you're going to change the distances here in order to change the values. Then you're going to find out if it works. That's pretty much all you can do. Now, is there cheating ways to do this? If you have some of these parts already built and you already have the sphere itself, ring it. Tap it and ring it. Find out what the frequencies are on every single one of them. Then calculate it out and see exactly what you get. That's not real hard. That's pretty easy math. This is basic stuff. If you're into this kind of stuff, it should be fairly easy. Okay, most people who are building things would have no problem building this. Now, let's get into the good part. Sacred geometry. See, a lot of people don't understand this part. You see, all over the world, they continuously put this stuff up everywhere. They're dealing in things that we don't yet understand. We have a clue. We're getting there. We're not there yet. There's few who understand it. And for those people, they probably work under a NDA in a government lab somewhere. For the rest of us, we have to figure it out on our own. This right here is a musical scale. I know Bob says it's sacred geometry. I'm telling you right now, it's a musical scale. It is your harmonic scale. This right here has one dipole. When I say that, what am I looking at? I am simply creating this in one direction. That's it. If I say it's north, that's all I'm creating. If I say I started here, and I say that's south, that's all I'm creating. In that geometry, plasmoids, it is cycling down here. You're creating the south end of your dipole. That's it. That's what it's telling you. That's what that sacred geometry is telling you. That's why some of these circles are overlapping in different areas than they would if you put it in a north and south both configuration. So if I did this, now this right here is going to change just a little bit. And it goes back to the regular scaling that you would normally see. That's why the geometries are slightly different. These circles won't line up in the same spots because now I have a north pole and I have a south pole. This right here, by the way, was right here. This coil has the null zone, has the north, has the south. Generally, I'd tell you this is a bipolar Tesla coil when it does it. Now, if you build a bipolar Tesla coil, by the way, the amount that you push it up or down like this, or you should say like this, however you want to configure it, you're going to create one side that has more energy than the other. That is simply which side that you're creating. More energy to the south, you're creating the south dipole stronger than the north. That's simple. Pretty easy. You can change it back and forth and put energy on either side if you want. Thunderstorm Generator works on equal energy and plasmoids. This simple understanding of this coil right here, it's so profound in exactly what you're trying to do. Create plasma out of one side, create plasma out of the other. It's natural in nature. Why do I need to know the volume of a sphere? Oh, baby. This is where I love working in. The Earth has fields at every layer, creating cavitation. Every time you look at this, this is cavitation. The energy in our Earth goes positive to negative to positive. Just like that. That's Earth. That's what we're in. Cavitation at every level. Now, here's the best part. If you understood this, sorry, I do that kind of bad. If I told you that right there is your Russell scale. Transmutation happens because you are literally in the Russell scale as you look at this. You go, well, hold on. You're telling me the periodic table's in the Russell scale in this. Yeah, it is. Both sides. Okay? So what am I doing here that changes our understanding? We are literally transmutating between here and here. So, okay, well, how are we transmutating? Okay. Still not that hard. If my element was like this, I am simply breaking that apart. I want to take this and move it out, move this one out, and move this one out. Now, as my exhaust comes in, I am now bonding new parts. You see, the bubbler preps everything in your original part right there, your original part, it now bonds everything to it. Now, it's transmutating it from what it was, just like this, to what it is now. You can take in anything that comes into it, transmutate it from the original to another element, and drop it out the other side. It is literally doing transmutation in that device. That's what's so cool about it. You see, the bubbler itself is preparing it. There's no difference between Stan Myers when he's doing his water car. He's doing the same thing. He's prepping it. He's getting the bubbling going. He's getting it to separate all of the molecules in there. Then what does he do? When the new ones come in, he puts them together. Stan Meyer separates them by creating a magnetic field. A lot of people don't understand this. Oxygen, magnetic. Okay? When Stan Myers does it, he takes these tubes right here, runs it through them, creates a magnetic field. It holds inside of it all the oxygen, while through it goes the hydrogen. That's it. This all gets shipped off to another area where then it goes back and re-puts together the oxygen in the water to make your H2O. That's Stan Myers. He's separating it based on the magnetic field because oxygen in this form is magnetic. So, transmutation, we're doing the same thing here. But instead of recombining or anything like that, this is just separating. We're going to recombine it. We want those elements to become a new element out the exhaust of it. There we go. Now, what else could it be doing? If it doesn't create that, it could just simply be burning off the other elements. You see, that's the part that nobody really has defined in this whole experiment. Is he burning off molecules? Is he transmutating those into something else by burning them off? Or is he creating the new molecule to go out the other side? Pretty interesting thing to look at. Does it really affect how we're going to use this? Well, since we're not using it every day and we're just trying to understand what he's doing, it's not going to affect us which process he uses. It's more of the understanding of why harmonics is in this thing. That's really what we want to look at here. Harmonics is one of the least understood things in this as far as energy production. You see, when Don Smith does it, you don't really realize what he's doing, do you? You see, he creates half of a coil in order to make another one double that size, yet they resonate together. If I took this coil and this one here, and I said I want to isolate that half in order to make this one ring, will it? The answer is yes. Okay, well that's not hard, all right? But it already told us that right here. Here and here. We're breaking it down. That is that one right there. Then you go down, it's double or half. Third. You get what I'm trying to say here. We're breaking these things down. What's the most important thing that you can take from this? Is it's all related. Every little bit of it works on the next thing. When you start creating it in the correct order, you start to see devices work even better. You see, they talk about a runaway device when you put things in sync with the exact same resonance. Wasn't that what we're looking for? You're looking to be at 98% of that resonance. At 100%, you're not going to control it. You're going to have a sun on your hands and you know what I mean? You'll be bashing a device to pieces in order to stop it. You want about 98%. You're going to take those efficiencies that the government gives you and you're going to go way, way beyond them. That's what we're looking for in these devices. Thunderstorm Generator is an absolutely beautiful machine. If you can understand the harmonics of it, you can understand it. If you have no idea what the harmonics are, build it to the exact specifications he gave you. That's what you have to do. Every material will be different, by the way. You see, aluminum doesn't ring at the same thing that steel rings at, that some other material like copper rings at. Everything rings differently. So you have to check each one. Stick with the materials he gives you. There's a very specific reason for it. He's going for something, and you have to build it to find out. That's it. But the understanding doesn't change. We are literally creating plasma just like we did in our Tesla coil. You see, that's why I do all these Tesla coils experiments, because I want to know exactly what's going on. I want to know from the man himself, from Tesla, how everything's working. Then it starts to explain everything else. You just have to look for the clues because they're all there. They're all overlapping each other. You see, one person says it's all this, one person says all that, one person says all this. Well, they haven't put it all together yet. I'm trying to put it together for you so you understand it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I hope you can look at this thing in a different way so that you can better understand it. But the math on this has to be precise. Please understand that. I didn't go into every part of it. I would suggest that you guys look up somebody who does this for a living and does it on YouTube. They're going to better explain each part of it. But now at least you know exactly where to go. Guys, once we understand this, we understand the weather as well. I hope you really do understand this. We can understand how you would manipulate weather or change other things based on this. We're literally getting into the harmonics of the earth once you start to understand this. It's going to take a lot more knowledge on each specific part to get you there, but you'll get there. This is where it leads. This is why they don't want you to understand a lot of it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it today. Have a great day. Thank you. All right, guys. Jarvis, what's up, man?
Yo, Jarvis.
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
Going on, dude?
I'm exploring the StreamYard in the background, trying to get used to it because I'm just now able to post chats and stuff. So this is my my practice run.
Right on.
Very good.
So-
Nice little workstation you got going on there too. It looks very good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get set up to start presenting here soon.
Good.
Very cool.
I'm just exhausted trying to make up the hours to get the equipment, but I think I'm ready to rock and roll.
Nice. All right, guys. Your thoughts on the Thunderstorm Generator, where you guys want to go with it? Joe,
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, there was a couple of things. First of all, you did an excellent job, man. That was really comprehensive, I think. For the most
Yeah,
part.
that was a take that I had not heard, and I loved it.
Yeah, and it was a good draw comparison between the two systems. You know how they correspond. You know, it's something that we definitely touched on in the past, but we can build on now. And I think that there was a couple of critical things that I just wanted to kind of toss in there that I think makes it more valuable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so you know, the first thing, and it goes right to the proportions, right? This is something that we discussed previously too. When it comes to the proportions, and I think Elijah dropped it in the chat. You know, he said it's a 2, 3, 4 inch sphere within a sphere within a sphere.
Absolutely.
There's a reason that it's inches, and it's something that we touched on before. You know, inches work off of you know, 12, 6, 3 fractal geometries. You know, as far as you know, how they're proportioned, inches and feet. It's critical that none of this stuff be done in metric. You know, another major factor is actually the distance of the pipe that connects the two sphere modules. It has to be 3, 6, 12, 24. And I think they said 3 was a little short. It's really got to be like, you know, 6, 12, 24. So it's got to run off of those same proportions. Another thing that wasn't brought up that I think at least is a little bit of a differentiating factor between Thunderstorm Generator or maybe some of the coil systems.
Yep.
Is that because it's hooked up to a combustion engine, you know, it's in a cycle of you know, compression and vacuum constantly. So
Yes.
it's not as simple as running a bubble through the water to cause the you know, phase differential, that's the pressure differential that separates out the plasmoid from you know, charge from the rest. It really actually in that case has to do with the compression and expansion of the bubbles as they rise through the bubbler. Also, when it moves out of the bubble chamber as a plasmoid and moves into the counter-rotational sphere device, the transmutation actually is taking place, like you said, pretty much as soon as it exits that chamber. But there is a point in that system where the transmutation is greatest. And that's they literally call it the same as a black hole. They call it an event horizon. And the event horizon is the equilibrium of the two spheres in the center. So in a 6-inch pipe, yeah, you'd be looking at 3 inches of the exit pipe. That's where the event horizon would kind of take place between the two spins. And the importance of the counter-rotational torsion that occurs and how that adds to the hot-cold equilibriums in the system. That's obviously to do with all the proportions too, and the spin rates and everything like that. But that's where the harmonics and resonance come in, is with those spin rates, because those spin rates directly relate to the oscillation of the material of the system, that in turn is it being in tune or out of tune. So that's sort of what I wanted to add into it. But again, awesome presentation.
Dude, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Very specific things that go on there. Someone asked, does it have to be stainless? So from my understanding, everything rings differently and everything resonates differently. So he's picked God, I can't talk. He picked a specific material. I would stick with it. Don't change it until you built it once.
Yeah, that's a game of ideals, I would have to say. Obviously stainless steel, it reaches high hardness levels and stuff like that. So yeah, it's probably less sacrificial as far as the transmutation is concerned as well, because you got to remember, these cavitation bubbles that occur, they dematerialize. I stayed away from using corrosive because it's not an oxidation process, right? It dematerializes the inside of the chamber. So, obviously, if you want the system to last, you're going to need something that's going to try to stand up to that.
Well, not just that. If you put it in there and you use aluminum, you get eddy currents in there.
Well, right.
And then if you put it in there and you put copper in there, then you may get some other things in there you don't want either. You may be creating some electricity on the outside that you didn't want. He probably picked those materials specifically for that generator based on how everything works. He probably tried all of them.
Yeah, I was more alluding to what type of steel, like assuming that you're sticking with steel. I don't, it probably does make a difference, because nickel content, every little elemental difference is going to affect the crystal structure of the pipe itself, which is going to affect its resonance. So, to keep things consistent, you would always want to stick with what he used. But definitely going far off the rails with the materials, like a totally different, not steel at all, it would definitely have an effect on the system, I'd say.
Well, I'd say if you're going to take the time and go to the trouble of getting this stuff put into a machine shop and built, because doing it by yourself may cause all kinds of different problems with welding and stuff with the pressure. It's kind of like a new diesel engine. You can't just go in there and crack the valve and get it to clear out. There's too much pressure in it. So you're going to want somebody to do all this stuff. If you're going to spend that kind of money, just buy the right stuff in the beginning, run it like you said it did, and then try it. And once you get that done, build anything you want.
Yeah, Malcolm spent 7 years on a secluded island with a secret lab, like working on this stuff.
Sounds like a Gilligan's Island story.
Well, I know. It wasn't the first time anybody was out to get him either, though. Like, people chased after him a couple of times.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, he used to work for an oil and gas company, as far as I understood, and he fell into bad standing with them, and whatever happened there.
Yeah, I actually know nothing about the Thunderstorm Generator. I haven't done any research on it. I know it's similar to GEET, but what type of fuel do they use? Do you know? Is it like GEET where you can use like coffee if you wanted to?
Well, it's more the mutation of the exhaust, isn't it, Joe? That's all he's doing. So,
Right. Well, the current iteration is an open system. Okay, so it's what it does is it just is a regular generator, a gasoline generator that is outputting, hydrocarbon exhaust, and then they're running the exhaust to run the system, the hot and the cold to heat it up. In fact, it doesn't even work until it gets to a certain point, and it's more or less acting as a super efficient catalytic converter, but rather than just burning up the material and the hydrocarbons and stuff, it's actually transmuting them. So the output of the exhaust is pretty much similar to the air that went in the first place. Now, the original iteration of it, Jarvis, was not an open system, and they pretty much realized that this was going to be a problem for them straight away, not in functionality, but rather just a problem for them. So they kind of wiped it off the face of the earth. But the way that the system used to be was that it was a closed system where the exhaust output hooked directly into the air intake of the carburetor.
oh, really?
So you were actually running it off of its own exhaust fumes, and it in that capacity it sipped gas also, which was the claim that they were trying to stay away from making because they would have never been able to patent it.
Okay, so what is it doing to the element? Is it mutating to something different, or is it just breaking it back down into the water? What is the actual process there? Do you know?
I mean, it's more or less just outputting oxygen, the same level of oxygen that went in, or slightly higher, like 19-20% oxygen.
Right. I heard it wasn't necessarily transmuting it. It was eliminating it was a more clean of a burn so that the output wasn't affecting.
So they burnt off all the materials, just like I thought they did.
Yeah,
that's
clean
that's
burn.
That's not 100% correct though, because yes, in the exhaust test, but when they actually cut the pipes open, there's all sorts of cavitation pitting, similar to what would be on the outside of a propeller from cavitation pitting, right? All on the inside of this thing, and where it was pitted out, they actually did spectrograph. I can't speak. Spectrogram?
Yeah.
Right, whatever on it, and it actually was
spectroscopy.
Yeah, thank you. My tongue didn't want to do that for whatever reason. Anyway, they found other elements that weren't present in the fuel, the oil, the gas, the anything, the component of the system, and they found it all only within these pits, within the pipe chamber. Yeah, within the cavitation.
So he is making new elements out of it, and some of them burn off.
Yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense that both would go on, because you're just changing the oxygen molecule and where it goes in the system and how many are in it, right? So you're adding or minusing those and then burning off other things.
Right.
That's pretty much all it's doing.
That makes sense.
So, but I'm just with the fuel, I'm kind of confused. So is it like the heat to where you can practically use any fuel? Like I think they use something like Mountain Dew or something with the heat.
I think Malcolm says it requires 10% carbon in order to run. So
okay, so maybe like even a sucrose water. Like I heard the CIA back in the day, it was classified, but they would mix sugar with hydrogen peroxide as a fuel. And yeah, so maybe even just a sugar water, if it has high carbohydrates, like that could work.
Yeah, that sounds like rocket fuel to me.
Yeah.
Sugar and hydrogen peroxide.
Because sugar and hydrogen peroxide are virtually everywhere, and it does work as a rocket fuel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Lulu?
I don't know if I should have.
Now that I'm thinking about it, though, the carbonation, would that provide you enough carbon for like a soda?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like anything sugar should, because you know, it's a carbohydrate.
You say tree gas?
The hydrogen peroxide just provides the oxygen, so you know you can use anything that has high oxygen content and with sugar. So it's like, why go through all this heat process when you can just make fuel out of hydrogen peroxide and sugar? You know, in my opinion, it just seems a little convoluted of a system. You know, you know, I like that it has transmutation potential, and that's interesting. But I just haven't looked very far into it because I'm trying to use systems that don't need fuel at all.
Well,
yeah, and maybe
so-
maybe it does, and he's just not advertising it that way because it's
Right.
you know dangerous too.
Yeah, perhaps.
That's
Yeah,
the point, you know, because
yeah,
there was initially a lot of reporting on its efficiency, and more or less it would just run off of fumes.
Yeah.
But they realized that once they had everything in order, they had the working prototypes, they had everything done. My understanding of it was that, like, they also had, you know, what if they were going to submit for a patent, you know, that there's certain things that will be rejected by the patent office.
Of
High
course.
efficiency, alternate fuels, all that stuff is, you know, no go as far as getting an approved patent. So the only way that you can protect your design is to just go with the emissions end of it, because there's really not that many restrictions on that. So
That's
they
a very
leverage
valid
what
we
they
said
could.
it before.
that's
It's
valid
really
theory.
about the claims you make. You do not want to make any claims that you
Yep.
know are keywords. You know,
Mhm.
in my
Mhm.
mind, I specifically stayed away from any of that. I don't make
Yep.
any claims that are related to any of that.
Exactly. So it's just it's potentially, and I'm being fast and loose here, it's potentially a far more remarkable system than presented, but you got to read in between the lines, or at least have had the background knowledge of what sort of was originally being reported before they had to do the wipe job on it. And I don't blame them for doing that.
So let me ask you: did he detune this thing a little bit? Change some of the harmonics in it so it doesn't do as well as it should. Put it in the 4th octave instead of the 5th.
That's
I
what
know
he said
Don
he did.
Smith
He had to do
detuned it
a little bit.
slightly.
I would
Yeah, I
assume
heard
because the system
for
as he was
Pete.
running it was having ball lightning escaping the chambers and stuff. Like they have videos of that all over the place.
Yeah, the
I like
overcharged plasmoids. You don't want that, right? Is that something
Yeah.
that you want to get rid of out of the system?
Well, I don't know about get rid of it, but I know that the system holds charge for an extended period of time. So like you don't have as much of a warm up period and stuff like that in between once it's got a charge to it, and it'll hold that
Right.
charge. But having all sorts of plasmoids escaping the system because they're ball lightning, they can go through whatever they need to.
Yeah,
Probably is less than ideal.
It's insane. You can see the video. There are multiple sources of that video that have that video, but he slows it down. You could see them going in and out of the sphere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's plasmoids outside the Thunderstorm Generator. That's what.
Yeah, they're overcharged plasmoids. He said, like that's what they're labeled as. I think.
Yeah, I think one good example of that just like comes right to mind was when they went to Cosmic Summit this past year. They had the guys come in from North Carolina or whatever. They have a truck, like an old Chevy truck that has like a pipe hooked up to it and bubbler, and that thing was overcharging like nobody's business. Like they reported the pipe on it and it just had ball lightning dancing all over it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I love that.
Were there cold sections?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
did a thermal.
Was it
Yep.
was it from the exhaust or what area was it?
No, it's rotational, hot and cold, right next to each
But-
other with a diffuse gradient, like a yin yang, man.
It
Yeah,
looks
it's
like what
insane.
Nathan was showing. It looks like that would be a countercurrent heat exchanger kind of thing, where it would be going in opposite directions, you know, and that's what you need for efficient heat transfer. Would be some sort of countercurrent heat exchange, and like you're saying, if they vortex, that would actually add to the dynamics. So,
Well, it does. And one other thing that adds to the dynamics of it is that they're countercharged. The exhaust going through it raw is charged one way, and then what they do is they run they introduce ionized air using
Negative
UV,
ionized air.
negative ionized air through UVB. So you're positively charged on one side, negatively charged on the other. One hot, one cold, and counter rotation, one within the other. Switch, swap, and then the other way around. So it's literally a yin yang system, is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
cool.
more of a instead of a thunderstorm, it's more like a tornado in a way with the hot and cold and charges. Do they like artificially put the charges on them, or is it caused by like the friction of the fluid through like naturally? Do they add charge or
They add charge. They use ionization through UVB.
well, I mean, yeah, I understand that, but you're saying with the countercurrent heat exchange type of thing, do they artificially add charge in that stage? Do you know?
No, not as far as I know.
Because I mean, just the friction alone, like I heard oil and pipelines will develop a charge and you can actually sense a magnetic field from them. So just the friction of it going through there could produce its own charge without having to add charge to it. And then, you know, the ionized air from the UV would interact with the natural charge of that. And yeah, implosion.
Yep. That's what it is, right? It's an implosion and then not an explosion, but an expansion. So it's super and that's what's super cool about it is because it's working off of an internal combustion engine that has both compression and a vacuum to it. It also has those same attributes, which just amplifies the system realistically.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to like take a look at it at a different time, but I've learned a lot from you, Joe and Nathan. I just haven't invested much time because, like I said, anything with the fuel, in my opinion, is going to be obsolete. I like what they're doing because it's getting a lot of attention in our type of field, but I still think we can do better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it works with alternative fuels too. I'm certain of that. It's anything internal combustion. This would work with, you know, and internal combustion has its benefits. It's not, you know,
Yeah,
I don't think, yeah, right. I don't think that electricity is necessarily like the answer to all.
I agree.
All the kind of is, but
well, just look at hospitals.
Like,
this is perfect. I was just going to say real quick, this is perfect technology for hospitals, emergency generator backups. They keep them in the basement. You know, they're not going to produce any dangerous toxins.
Yeah, and like a plane, you can't really power it with electricity at this point. You would need some sort of combustion type of engine to, you know, for trains and industrial equipment. You still need that kind of system. So
now Malcolm Bendel does have a design for a jet engine using these same principles, exact principles.
Yeah, and it would be really difficult with electricity to do that, is what I'm saying.
Without a doubt.
I just wanted to point out a picture I put up, guys. You see the null zone in the center right there that we were talking about in between the two. And then it's on the picture on the right there. So it shows the plasmoid generation as well with the H2O and the vacuum bubble. I just want to point that out. Sorry, I'll take it off so you guys can talk.
No, it's interesting that it's like an hourglass there. I don't know if you guys can still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, see how it was like an hourglass there? Bendini. Yeah.
Bendini.
He would go into that hourglass figure, and it's saying north and south there, and the null zone, the event horizon, like you were saying, the blotch wall. There is something important about that that Mike Faraday was talking about, an experiment with the U-shaped magnet, and at that blotch wall, somebody was able to actually pull current out of that.
Yeah, you get current.
I guess it's the plane of dielectric inertia is what Ben, you know the guy, the magnet guy, Wheeler. No, Ken
Wheeler.
Yeah, Ken Wheeler.
Yeah, he's good, man. I like him.
Yeah, I love me some Ken there.
Yeah, he talks about that hourglass configuration too. I just don't know what's up with that. I guess it's the dielectric field they're getting at.
Well, you get that in the Tesla code too. You get null zone. It doesn't seem like anything's going on, but it's the one where everything's going on.
Right, and it's not magnetic. It's more dielectric at that null zone.
Yeah. So, oh man, sorry, I'm trying to put up all the chat while you guys talk. I wanted to show you guys something real quick, if it's all right. It's kind of off the subject just a little bit, but I came across this on the Facebook. Somebody had it up there, and I thought it was absolutely interesting. And it kind of relates in a way because it has to do with cavitation, but the design is completely different in every way. It has magnets and stuff on it. And it's kind of like what you're looking at, Jarvis, in the fact that it could be, instead of magnets, like a dielectric on it. And then you'd be able to create different fields, one positive, the other side doesn't have as much energy, so it would naturally be negative, and they all counter rotate.
Yeah, it reminds me of the movie Contact, where she time traveled. That's what that reminds me of right there, where she was dropped, into the ocean, and everybody thought she fell straight through, but she actually through a wormhole. That's what that reminds me of. I think our society has been addicted to magnetism because, that's really the only way. Heat and magnetism is how we measure, electric current primarily. And our measurement instruments aren't really geared towards that dielectric type of field. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. If it were more dielectric system there instead of a magnetic system, but I mean, you need them both, of course, but our society just doesn't know. The general person wouldn't know what a dielectric field is.
Well, what I'm looking at is if you create the electrons on it, then you may actually get some gravitation out of it based on the flipping fields inside of it. You know what I mean?
Especially if it's spinning, because all you got to do is spin an electric ball like that and you get a magnetic field naturally. Like, there's only 3 or 4 elements that are naturally magnetic in the periodic table, but all of them are electric, even the magnetic ones. So like, it's just the tip of the iceberg is magnetism. And, the dielectric field is really, I think, where the future is going to be instead of magnetic field. But yeah, just by spinning those, and they are positively charged and spinning in opposite directions, I think you're right, Nathan. You're going to get some crazy field effects going on right there.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping if something like this comes up in the future, we have a chance to build it because it doesn't look hard, that we can actually pull some gravity out of it.
Is that
it's not from a patent that I know of, but it could be. I just saw somebody had it, and I just thought it was such an interesting thing because I could see the effect of it being just like the Earth with different cavitations at every level in counter-rotating mode. This thing could be like an awesome gravity generator. Like,
there's going to be so much torsion in that, and there's going to be like also gyroscopic action as well from the rotation.
Yeah.
Like the physical rotation of it. I mean, now you're talking about powerful forces, because that's really hard to overcome.
Because I heard Carl Sagan was actually in the deep hidden society type stuff when it comes to anti-gravity and stuff, and Contact was dedicated to him, and like, it could actually maybe dilate time by using the proper charges and inverse spins and stuff. You might get a measurable.
That's why I think it has something to do with gravity. See, it all ties in together. I would hope that, look, if we just built it with magnets and ran it, it would be a cool experiment in itself. But if we could learn something from that and find some charges and see, if anything's going on to amplify anything, then we can switch it up and see what we get. I think a run on this wouldn't be out of line for what we're doing.
Another important thing is that, supposedly time is accelerating within the generator, accelerating the age of the carbon way beyond what it's supposed to be registering. So that's another factor.
Yeah, that's right. Good point. I forgot all about that.
So you want to expand on that a little bit? What's going on now?
Like a radioactive decay, it could be.
Yeah. So according to Malcolm, clockwise rotation produces reversal of time, and anti-clockwise rotation produces acceleration of time. I believe that's the correct. I could be backwards on that, but Yeah,
I think
and
it would have to be reference to something though. Is that reference to like the rotation of the Earth? You know what
the
I mean? Like
rotation
you're
of
saying,
the rotation of the cold and hot energy within the spheres.
okay,
Yeah.
but you get what I'm saying though, because like,
Yeah, an analog,
if we
right?
were-
I get what you're
Oh,
saying.
you're
Like,
talking
what
about
what's the frame of
in
reference that
what's the frame of
there
reference?
is the left? Yeah,
It has
because
to be the
like,
Earth because we're doing this inside the generator. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I would say, you know, the Earth's equator, if it's spinning left compared to the Earth spin, you know what I mean? Because if you're on the northern hemisphere looking at it, it's spinning left, and if you're on the southern hemisphere looking at it, it's turning right. So you got to
so
have
you beat
frame
me
of
to that
reference.
point because Jordan that does the presentations for Malcolm, he's in Australia, so he's on he's south of the equator, and the rotation would be
Hmm.
kind of different.
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
The thing about different is it's all relativity. It's all relatively
Exactly.
different.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to have a frame of reference to speak left and right spin.
exactly.
Right. Well, this is just based on what he said. He said that,
Yeah.
time is accelerating to some extent and the carbon
Right.
is registering advanced like 10,000 years in advance of what it's supposed to be in age or something.
Right.
I'm not too keen on the specifics.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Don Smith said something similar, but he said left spin and right spin were voltage and current. You know, so
I think
there
it's
is
all
something
related.
out
Yeah, I
there.
think it's just all
Yeah,
related.
and it could be the arrow of time with entropy. Maybe the spin in one way is less entropy than the spin in a different way.
That's another good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, very cool.
by the way, Jarvis, I just want to tell you that wine that you and Mike came up with to bend the wire in half and then turn around the can worked perfectly.
Yeah.
By the way,
It's
got
cool.
a lot more
Right?
amps out of it.
We were talking about, you know, how to increase the amps and getting into kind of stuff with multi-factor effects and stuff. But like, it's so easy to just bend a wire in half and skip all those steps if you want current, you know, it's like start at the easiest one and you nailed it. So that was awesome, man. I wanted to see that because I've never actually seen it. I heard Don Smith say it works, but you're the first person I actually saw to actually try it and do it. And it
Well,
worked.
we're going to go a little more into Don Smith on that device where you got your Tesla coil resonate one frequency. Now I'm going to use a quarter wave on the can itself. So now I'm going to be able to amplify the resonance in that to produce more energy while I'm still getting the energy putting out by the radiant field.
Do you think you're going to be able to get a quarter wave on that can though? Because your frequency.
Use a bigger can. I'm going to go to
I was going to say
Arizona tea can or something.
Yeah, like I had a monster.
Yeah,
drinks.
a little bit bigger.
You're going to need a bigger
Fosters, you know, like a real
easy
chode.
way. I might be able to help you with the tuning on that because another easy way to think of a quarter wave is just 4 times the frequency of your primary. So you cut a quarter wave compared to the speed of light c just means 4 times the frequency. So you're aiming for 4 times the frequency. In the last video, I showed it how you can use the dampening factor and everything to figure out that frequency. But if you just think of it in terms of frequency, you just want 4 times the frequency. So you don't necessarily need a quarter wavelength. You can add capacity, you know, to get that.
Well, I think I could divide it instead of multiplying it, couldn't I? If I went 1/4 of the total length that I had already, or 1/4 of the frequency, shouldn't I be able to still tap into there like a radio frequency does on each level?
See, what I read from Tesla, and you know, I haven't tried it yet, but he said you want a quarter wavelength on the secondary or an odd multiple of that. So you want the quarter frequency, or you want 3 times the quarter frequency, or 5 times the quarter frequency, or 7 times the, you know. So I'd have to do the math to figure out the frequency relation to the quarter, those wavelengths. But it's easier for me to think of frequency than wavelengths, because back in his day, they were able to take what's called a Lecher line, and it's basically a hairpin circuit, and you would slide say a neon bulb up and down that, and they would find the wavelength like that. So it was easier for them to talk in terms of wavelengths because their measurement equipment, they can easily find the wavelength. Where in our society, we talk more of the frequency.
Frequency, yeah.
So, but I would like to build a lecture line, you know, to so that you can easily determine those lengths, and then all you'd have to do is cut the wire exactly to that length, and you'd be in perfect resonance. I think that's why the hairpin was important, because it shows you how to find those resonant points in the bars. That's what he was doing, is showing that there's difference in resistance between certain points, because there's basically a standing wave going on. You would have a higher standing wave, and then a lower, then a higher. So you're getting standing waves on those two bars there. And by finding where that neon light with light is the exact length that you would need to cut your secondary to get it at resonance. That's I think that's why he preached the hairpin so much, because it showed those different resistance effects. Even shorting it on the top, it would still be able to produce power when it shouldn't, you know, unless it was producing standing waves.
Yeah, that goes right back into every conversation we've ever had about planning out what the hell you're doing ahead of time, with all knowing the proportion, and then tackling it rather than having to troubleshoot, trial and error and stuff like that.
And they were using analog, you know, the analog techniques. You're hands on, you know exactly. And Don Smith did that too with neons and stuff, and to know when he's in resonance. You know, instead of doing calculations, you're hands-on with it, and you know exactly what length to cut it, because you just measure the length. You know, so they had different methods of calculating, you know, instead of frequency. They worked a lot with length.
Oh, they probably just worked with the mass of the wire, or the total weight.
That too.
So
yeah, that too.
I could tell you right now, I can tune one of these bad boys with no problem now. I figured it out. Okay, let me tell you, sitting there in your garage, and you got 4 coils sitting there, and you're unwinding your main coil ring by ring by ring to figure out exactly what it is. Then you can take the length of it by your frequency and figure out exactly by inch how much winding you need and how much weight. Yeah, they had to do all of it.
It's not worth that effort though, because even by you being close to it and unwinding it, you're detuning it with your capacitance. So you're gonna unwind it and get one frequency, and as soon as you step away, it's gonna be out of tune, because your body was adding capacitance to that.
Oh, trust me, I know to walk away. Yeah. Trust me, I got the distances.
I'm just saying, it's nerve-wracking if you don't understand that. You know, you're like, I just tuned it, and now that I walked away, it's out of tune. You know,
it's probably nuts.
Yeah,
because you walk up to the coil and touch it, and it goes in resonance, right?
Yeah,
and really, you're 100 kilohertz out of resonance.
Here.
Yeah,
it would drive me crazy.
So has anybody built a replication of the Thunderstorm Generator yet? Or is it just Malcolm?
No, people have, and they were selling kits. Nobody that I talked to personally, but I believe that they've reported on people doing it. I think that guy with that pickup truck, like I said, from Cosmic Summit, he did that on his own as well from the plans. And I think that there were a bunch of other people working off the plans.
Yeah, there's a couple people in chat too. I know Paul said he was going to order the kit and put together one. So I asked him to keep us updated on that.
I'd love to see that thing running. If you want to, if you built it and wanted to come on the show, absolutely. I'd love to see it running.
Yeah. Anybody willing to demonstrate one of these Thunderstorm generators or replications? That would be really awesome.
I'd love to be a part of that. That'd be super cool.
And anybody that,
I mean, honestly, as a guy with like a little bit of welding experience, you buy the kit because welding those spheres together the way that they require them to be, the fact that it's stainless, it has to be polished out, and then
needed
balls. Honestly, just buy the damn thing, because the amount of effort that's going to go into having to weld those spheres together is going to, like, you know, drive you nuts.
Well, if he says there's $700 and $800, I'll just buy them.
Yeah,
no, 1,000.
that's a good deal because a welder, man, those guys cost a lot of money to start welding that kind of stuff.
Well, right, and if you're doing it yourself, you're just gonna pull your teeth out and have to probably order a ton to be able to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it? Do you have to knead the metal, like put little dents in them or bumps or grooves or something?
My understanding was that that they have to be smooth inside and out.
Oh, smooth. Okay. Yeah. No, I was just trying to understand that there was some kind of specific welding process that was required, and specifically, Malcolm said you need to knead the metal, and I don't really know what that means. I'm not a welder.
Anneal?
Knead, like KNEE.
Yeah, like kneading dough.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know the context that he was using that, but
yeah, neither do
I'm
I.
wondering if you're talking, like having a rifle for a bullet, like if you needed to do that in order to induce the vortex.
My understanding was that the plasmoids they don't need a smooth surface. They need a grooved surface because they kind of dolphin. They go up and down.
Yeah. Okay. They call that porpoising, by the way, but I'm just that's me being a nuanced asshole.
No.
Dolphining, it just.
I'm just using the term that Malcolm used.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, he's a little bit eccentric.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, I'm not familiar with that term. So, thank you for teaching me.
No, that's fair. Yeah. No, I mean, I wasn't aware of that. To be honest, I believe that the spin was induced by the curvature of the sphere and the direction of the way that the exhaust is more or less propelled through it. I think there's a certain angle. I want to say it's 33 degrees, but I could be off on that. If I'm, you have to bring the exhaust and introduce it into the sphere at a certain angle, and that's what induces the vortex.
Right.
Nathan,
and then I think the idea is that, like, he was talking about how the Ark of the Covenant used wood chips, acacia wood chips, and they were curved to trap the spin of the plasmoids. Maybe that has something to do with it, to trap them in there and not, prevent them from escaping.
Yeah, I've heard stuff about acacia wood and that too, something to that effect, right?
So maybe, I don't know. This is all like new to me. Like I know, like at this point, way more about the Thunderstorm Generator than I do, because I've only known like what I did in the preliminary research for Divine Science, and I haven't really been keeping up to date with the recent data.
Yeah, that was a great episode, by the way. That's actually how I found you, Ben.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I put a lot of effort into that to make sure people understand, what the technology is, and it's out there. It's out there.
Yeah, it's great content. Yeah. And very entertaining.
That's what I like most about it is it's opening people's eyes to, the systems that we're interested. It's basically proof right there in your face. That's what I like most about it.
Yeah.
Do you have welding equipment, Nathan? So even if you bought it, like, I wonder how much it would cost to get, like arc welding equipment.
I sold all my welding equipment after I burnt my eyes once. I was done, and 86'd all that. Years and years of working with it just fine. One day, cracked helmet, and I was done. I had enough.
Wow.
I guess you could try. It would be cool to try welding with HHO or Brown's gas. I would like to try it that way, but arc welding, I'm afraid of that.
Well, I like that Chinese one they came out with. It looks like it's so easy. You know what I mean? You're not in there, circling it. It's just straight across.
Well, there's no unskilled welding type. I mean, you have to have like some type of practice and skill to be able to be effective in doing it. It's just the nature of binding any two things together cleanly. It's the same as if you were to try to caulking for the first time and you find yourself wiping it with your finger more than anything. It's right? It's even that simple, and it's just more complex than that. But I mean, honestly, a good way to get started in something like that is just like flux core MIG welding. I mean, they sell those things cheap enough.
I would try spot weld.
A few $100. Yeah, well, you could spot weld with a flux core MIG.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is the flux like a Rosen flux, or
I don't know what the flux is, to be real. It's just flux core.
I'm
It's different.
thinking like
It
solder.
depends, because like stick welding is, it's a much heavier flux on the outside that you have to chip off and stuff. Like with those little handheld welders with the flux core, like you don't really have to do a lot of cleanup afterwards. Just kind of a wire brush job and done. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah, take it into the welding shop. They do a great job.
Yep.
Yeah.
That way they
Fabricators generally do.
That way they pressure test it, and I'm good to go. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the thing here. I mean, these are so exact. I can't explain to you how just a little bit of welding gone wrong could bring this thing the wrong way. You could have a hole in it. You know what I mean? A thin weld. There's all kind of things that could go wrong. You're dealing with the exhaust coming out of the system, and then you're starting to compress this stuff, and then you're talking about creating plasmoids in there and counter rotation. I don't want the problem of it going wrong. I'd rather have them test it and send it to me.
Yeah,
So,
no, thank you. I'm not
personal
going to do that
opinion.
myself.
Well, that's
For
what I
800
was saying about fabricating the system yourself. Like you have to be professional and
Mhm.
have
for
everything together to
$800,
be able to do this effectively.
you
It's
kind of need to sell it to the right market, because for $800, and that's not the welding included. Like
No, it's 8,000. It's not 800.
Oh, 8,000. No, that's the
yeah,
difference.
8,000. Yeah.
And then you got to, so geez, that's like a really niche
The
market
gold?
that you would have to sell to.
I'll tell you what though, like, and
I was
maybe it
surprised,
doesn't apply too much now, but I always said what they really should have aimed for was like, Chrysler was like going to frigging basically discontinue all of the Hemis and stuff like that because of emissions. They had to buy all these carbon credits, and Stellantis didn't want to do it. But then obviously Trump came back. He's like, yeah, cafe standards, thanks. And now they're like, well, wait, let's bring back the Hemi, guys, before we go out of business. But like, had that not panned out that way, the first thing that came to mind was like, dude, you got to get these things on like Hellcat engines right now.
Yeah.
The Chrysler Corporation will buy this patent from you just to save their company. Like,
yeah, the Hummers and all the gas hungry vehicles would be benefiting, the retrofit.
Yeah, and if they were able to produce it in a factory as part of the standard equipment, that wouldn't be an $8,000 ordeal.
No, they'd be able to get that down. I think
Right.
some of that is maybe them recuperating the cost of running a business. Like sometimes
absolutely.
you have to do that in the start. That's kind of like what I have to do, and as you expand as a business and get more profit, you can, bring those costs down.
Yeah, listen, the R&D money that went into that project has to be astounding. And you got to remember something. Some of the early models, they weren't on small, personal use or commercial use generators like they're doing now for display purposes. They were going into massive generators, like for industrial use, like big diesel engines. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
and most
I'm
of
gonna
that
have
was
to jump off. I'm sorry, I got something I gotta do, but I'll try to talk with you guys later.
It's good having you on.
All right, Travis, man, it's been real.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys later.
By the way, hi to Mike Faraday out there. I threw you a link if you want to come on.
Nice. I didn't see him join the chat.
Yeah. So they're having some arguments in the chat if it's under $1,000 or not, and people are saying they heard. So
I mean,
I heard from Jordan from Alchemical Science on his channel. That's the only place that I heard it from. It was 7,000 for the kit.
Yowza.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, if that's wrong, then it's wrong. It could be 700. I don't know. Well, until we see
save the planet, but not like
$7,000
saved the planet.
No.
For a
Until
generator.
To be
For a
fair, I
Honda
haven't seen
generator.
the website that's selling them. So until I see that website, you know.
I think the truck would be cheaper than that you buy it for, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
geez.
Gerald could build you a scooter for, you know, like a fraction of that price.
Dude, back in the day, I got a free scooter, right? It's one of those
Mhm.
things you pedal and then the gas engine kicks on. Let me tell you, we found every little hill that go up it. You know what I mean? Every jump, every ramp, everything we possibly could, as fast as you possibly can, and hit that speed bump and try to jump that sucker. Anything, man. Back in the day, it was ruthless, brother. We had a go-kart, did the same thing, doing donuts and stuff. Yeah. Sorry, I grew up with all my brothers, and that's all we did, man, was anything outdoors, never came inside.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Like, I didn't even quit doing that when I was a kid because only up until like 3 years ago, I custom built a GoPed race scooter, full gas, 2-stroke. You know,
Nice.
and you know what? That first of all, the thing I used to have a nickname for, it was called the Death Machine because
Oh,
it literally wanted to kill you. It went 50 some odd miles an hour, 60 miles an hour or something.
oh yeah, it did.
It was ridiculous. But anyway, to digress, 2-strokes are interesting in the sense that you could triple the horsepower by putting a tuned pipe on it because it's all resonance and back pressure. So, you know, even an internal combustion engine benefits from these same exact principles that, you know, we're here talking about.
We used to rock the side hack back in the day. Hack half of a bicycle to cut off the front part of it and just weld in another platform to it. So you're able to take it and have somebody on the side, kind of like a chariot, and you just pull up and do a wheelie sideways down the street.
Oh man,
So awesome.
that sounds fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was. Unless you're the passenger, then not with my brothers. It's not fun. They hit every jump, every kind of turn they could, anything to throw you off the side.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Loxahatchee, Florida, some of the people had a little bit too much money there, and they would have golf carts that were literally decked out with like the big bass and and like the literally the they would have the rims, the chrome rims and everything. I think I seen one of them with hydraulics.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Spinners back in
Do
the
all
day.
sorts of irresponsible stuff. We used to just ride quads around the entire neighborhood, me and my kids, just because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Tuesday,
That sounds fun.
whatever. But I mean, we were living in the suburbs though, so it's like,
Oh well, then yeah, you can't really do that.
well, that's what I'm saying, right? We were living in the suburbs. We were just driving them everywhere.
Man.
Tell me what I can and can't do. My God.
It's funny. You hear that. You remember every once in a while you'll hear the you know, from a car. You look out and it's just a little golf cart.
That's funny.
Dude, that's so annoying. Like I do videos in my garage, right? So right outside the garage door, somebody's bebopping and stuff like that in their car. Don't know when to shut it off. You know what I mean? Honking their horn with their button all day. Oh, it's so frustrating, dude.
Did you really just say bebopping, you fucking fossil?
Yes, I did. Sorry.
I love you, Nathan.
I'm old. Dude, I go out crouched out like a 90-year-old man, all bent over, look like I have a cane, and I'll bitch into everybody for all the noise. Yeah, that's me.
Hey, we all get there eventually.
Get off my lawn.
It's about what it is sometimes, man. It's like, God, just shut that thing off.
Yeah. Except instead of a cane, he's got a Tesla coil in his hand.
Oh,
I don't understand how some people can have the bass so loud. Like it just ruins the music. Like, you know, add some treble in there a little bit.
I'm all about that bass, Ben.
I guess it's all about the bass.
I can't hear that in the car, so I just turn it off and listen to this to trouble.
Yeah.
I literally can't. My son has a really deep voice. I can't hear him at all. Unless I have my hearing aids in, good luck. I'm pretty much deaf. So
yeah, some of that stuff is so loud it feels like it's gonna vibrate the vehicle apart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's how I like it. Yo, I went deaf from I went deaf from Ted Nugent live
Oh,
and guns.
who's a fossil now? Ted
Hey, that'd
Nugent,
be
man,
worth
that was a
it.
long time
Huh?
ago.
That'd be
Yo,
worth
I
it.
used to go see Uncle Ted live like at least once a year. And man, he'd play Stranglehold and he'd hit that one note. And I swear to God, I literally could pinpoint the moment I lost half my hearing. It was like right at that very moment. It was like 10 seconds into him holding that thing as he's twisting the volume knob. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, that and shooting AR-15s with no hearing protection,
Oh
like,
yeah.
you
I
know.
might get there then. Yeah.
I thought I was having fun until I was like, man, that's ringing awfully loud. Yeah. Listen, I'm not known to be the smartest, one of the bunch.
None of us were. We all just had fun.
Yeah, that was the motto.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Just have fun. So, what do you guys think of the practical applications of this thunderstorm generator past the smog thing? Is that basically what it is? Do you think they're going to come out with something like beyond that, or do you think technology is going to surpass it? Like they get rid of the gasoline engines and.
Yeah, I think it's just the start.
Yeah, what I think is that I personally love internal combustion engines, and I think a lot of people do. I think it's familiar and it's practical, and I think that there's alternative, fuel sources that could be used other than gasoline, right?
Mm.
And this is a way to keep that going, while not continuing to necessarily destroy the planet and increase efficiency by retrofitting retrofit.
Yeah,
That's all you got to do.
It's not going to disrupt the oil industry. So like what's going to end up happening, in my opinion, is it's like a foot in the door for people to be introduced to this technology and then open their minds, and be more open-minded towards things like that are more considered fringe.
So is this going to be like something you can put on your diesel engine? So if you got a big old tractor trailer, you put this on there and then you clean up the environment a little bit?
Yeah.
I think it has a lot of industrial application for factories, for places that burn things, generally anything with a large carbon emission. This same exact system could be utilized to clean those things up on a large scale. I think that the small scale stuff is proof of concept more than anything. I think it would be fascinating, interesting, and great if automakers that, in big trucks or in cars, whatever, maybe implemented some of this technology in there to try and, smooth over some of the concerns and stuff and just keep it going so it doesn't have to be regulated out. It could just be mitigated through this use of the technology. But I really think that the larger industrial scale use of it is where it's at. I think that's where it's at. I think that's where it's most efficient.
Absolutely. That's sad. Like 10 companies produce 70% of the world's emissions. So, that's factory stuff, that's industrial emissions. So, and then the rest of that is mostly cars. So you clean up most of it right there with the vehicles and the industry.
Start hooking these right up the cows' asses so they get rid of that emission too, and the vegans could leave us the hell alone for destroying the environment. Motherfucker.
Piss them all off, Joe.
I think if you give them some kind of technology that's an answer, that's not like a half measure like we've been seeing, they will turn around, and that's more of a distraction, those arguments, there's more of distraction to get us away from these arguments, is this technology good? Does this work? Is this an answer? And I think we've seen that, it could very well be the answer that we're looking for.
I'll tell you what, anything that has to do with the car, you have to get it to the hot rodding guys. NHRA, people that do drag strips, stuff like that. If it's doing what you guys are saying it's doing and you can pull a little bit more energy back into the intake of it, they'd love this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can amplify that intake a little bit, get it going, you can pull some real power out of these motors.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, this is neither a big nor complex system. It's just the fabrication of the main reaction chamber is a pain in the rear end. But if you have your robot set up to just weld that together, all it is another welded metal component. It's not
That's
a big
true.
deal. It's only because it has to be done one at a time because of the how complex it is. And I,
Mhm.
I mean, these generators that they're running, I mean, they run better sometimes than worse others. Same as the coils, right? It's environmental differences that screw with the resonance of it and how effective it ultimately is in certain cases. But guess what? When you up it to more sophisticated internal combustion engines that run off of ECUs and the like, you could just adjust all the other factors of the engine to sit there and play in tune with the system in itself, which is phenomenal. It's just one more factor thrown into an ECU component.
Well, you just
Yeah.
have to have temperature control. I'm sure that's all it is.
It's definitely all it is. And temperature is so critical in it that they can't even get the reactions to the efficiency until it hits I want to say it's 700 or 800 Fahrenheit. Now, mind you, something again, they only do the measurements here, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. They only measure in imperial measures here. Okay, so I hear people talk metric all the time when they talk about this shit. Get it out of your head. I don't care where in Europe or Canada you're from. There's a reason the United States of America, greatest country in the entire world, fight me if you like, uses the imperial system and never adopted that crap. There's a reason. That's the reason.
Well, you got to have fractal geometry.
Exactly.
You don't get it anywhere else. I mean, you got to have it.
That's it. It doesn't exist in the 10 step up system of metric. It just doesn't.
So cool, man. Yeah, if somebody's got one of those things, man, I'd definitely love to see it because that's kind of cool. I mean, I saw the demonstrations. Don't get me wrong. Before doing this, I spent some time watching all this stuff, man, and trying to catch up to where you guys are on it. And I don't think I caught up yet, but yeah,
I think what a lot of people are going to start to realize when this starts catching on is a lot of like outside of the Thunderstorm Generator itself, a lot of these components are like off the shelf components, and it really rings to me like that documentary Dr. Greer did, The Lost Century, when they had some whistleblower talking about some UFO technology being replicated. It's all off the shelf, components. I think that's what we're going to see is like a lot of this technology that we're going to see in the new industrial revolution isn't going to be a lot of complex stuff. It's just going to be utilizing what we already have in a different way. A lot of the stuff that's in the Joule Thief is the most basic circuit, and it's able to utilize, energy in a different way. So I think this is going to open the door for a lot of that skepticism to like fade away, or at least be challenged professionally and in a legitimate fashion instead of, being dismissed.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if you teach somebody tuning the easy way, everything is going to get so much better. Like, a lot of people get scared of an oscilloscope, and you basically just turn the thing on next to you with a little wire dangling, and it tells you the frequency and things. I mean, 90% of the people, that's all they're using it for. They don't use all the functions on there. They hit the math button so they can show their buddies what everything does. They could care less about all the rest of the functions. So I think it's hilarious. I get my oscilloscope. It turns on my Tesla coil. It tells me where the ring is, and I can tell you exactly when it's in tune and out of tune, just in seconds. So, yeah, they don't need half that stuff. And then when you start getting into this, we're talking about Jarvis about the quarter waves and stuff like that. That's all just math. It's not that difficult. I always tell my
looking
kids,
at it differently.
Yeah, I taught my kid how to do geometry and algebra 2 in 4 months. You know what I mean? For both combined at a home study. It was that simple, man. It was just take out the letter and then put in the number where the letter goes. That's it. That's all this stuff is. And then it's just multiplication, division, minus, plus. It's just really simple. So, yeah, but.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to what Ben was saying, though, about it'll start to catch on. Like, I mean, late breaking news, and I hate to break it to you, but until this is adopted, by something visible, by a visible entity and promoted as such, there's no such visibility. So guys like me and you could pick up on this all day, all night, but there's only so many of us out there, and people that don't speak the language, no matter what you're saying, it's never going to catch on or be widespread for that reason. People don't have this level of sophistication on these topics, and frankly, they don't have the time or desire to care. Like, that's it, plain and simple. People's minds really only go as far as the problem, not the solution. The solution's for somebody else to figure out. And if the solutions aren't implemented and promoted and then utilized by known things that people actually use in their daily life or have access to, there is no widespread adoption. There's none of that. It's all just this group is a very small fraction of a percent. Okay, you probably have a lot of people here too that totally in the know. It's still a fraction of a percent, and that's what you have to understand, because it sounds grand, but there's no such thing without somebody taking that next step. So when we sit here sometimes, and we do, okay, and we criticize people that try to patent or monetize this technology, and then we sit there and say they didn't come up with it, it was this, or it was off of their principles, and blah blah blah, and you're trying to get rich or make a buck off of this, and treat it like some kind of grifting. You got to realize something: you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either somebody's going to go.
I've never said that. That's
no, not you. I'm just saying this is just a general vibe of how the conversation goes sometimes here, and it's okay, because we get it. Everybody's working toward the same mutual sort of goal,
right?
In their own way.
Absolutely right that a big entity would help get the word out, but that's how grassroots movements start. They don't require big entities. They start from the ground up, and they require independent support. So, like, as independent media grows more, like our outlets grow more on YouTube, Bob Greenyer and everybody he's associated with, that kind of spider webs out. And grass movements don't seem like they start out like significant, but they're slow. And then once they grow, they get to a threshold where people become more aware of it and start asking questions. Oh, why does that guy have that thing attached to his car and he's claiming it's not putting out any emissions?
Yeah, but I think you're missing my point, which is that yes, grassroots movements work, okay, when it's base level and affects many people, and it's an attainable solution for many. People don't understand this, and they don't want to. So yeah, you have to understand that dynamic of it. People have no interest in understanding, and I'm not saying, I'm generalizing a lot, but raising awareness or curiosity of it is like, oh, well, you won't believe what I saw this one time. Okay, but where else does it exist? Nowhere. So guess what? It doesn't matter. That's it. You know what I saw this guy do one time? Oh, that's cool. Where could I go see it? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, then it doesn't matter.
No, I get it.
And this is too small of a percentage with a whole bunch of people that want the results, but not the care to actually implement anything themselves. They just want this to be implemented into their daily use without them having to reach for it.
I've seen Alchemical Science grow from like 5,000, 6,000 subscribers to over 30,000 in like a very, very short amount of time. I don't know. I have to agree. Let's agree to disagree on this one.
We can agree to disagree, and then I'm always fine to do that. But when I tell you what, man, you hear me say I don't know shit and I don't know what I'm talking about all the time.
No.
I'll tell you, Mr. Ben, as a matter of fact, about this, I'm fucking right. Like
I
that's
would
it.
never say
Like,
that about you. You're very intelligent and you do know what you're talking about.
no, and I'm dead
we have
serious,
different
man.
opinions,
Like,
that's all.
you know, there's certain things like widespread adoption, and I agree, 30,000, that's cool. 30,000 out of billions. And this is the point, you know, like
Yeah.
it's
I think it will take maybe 5 to 10 years for sure, but I think it will catch on.
You know what?
But
Let me just intervene here, okay? It's not necessarily about the small amount of views that you get or anything like that. It's really not in comparison to the large amount of population. Like Joe's saying, it has to affect their daily life. So if we do anything on this channel that changes their daily life to make it better, that's what I'm here for.
oh yeah, man, that's what it's all. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah, because you're not going to get it, like Joe said, you're not going to be Einstein out of this. You're basically going to be able to build something that's going to change some lives in the future, get our kids' future a little bit better, have the environment cleaner. And that's all we can hope for.
I hope somebody could take this to that next level. That's, you know what? I don't know who that's going to be, but I'd love to see that. And whoever it is, cool.
There was a Japanese auto manufacturer that actually did do some experiments with some of Malcolm's concepts. And you know, I don't know whether they're going to bring them to market or not is another question, but you know, they were doing experiments with you know, plasma, and they got some positive results. That's the word, at least.
Einstein is the cause of all this. Without him, we would have the people who did the experiments telling you what's going on. Now we have mathematicians telling us what's going on, which isn't a bad thing, but there's no balance in it. You know, just point me to the invention and tell me what it does, and I'll check it out and tune it for you. You know what I mean? That's the way it works. If you're going to tell me a scientific theory to build a project, dude, good luck, because we're going to need a lot of beer in order to get this thing done, because all your theory in the world ain't going to add up to two parts getting put together. So, you know, we're going to figure out a good happy medium in the middle, and then go from there. So,
yeah, and I'm all for the grassroots, by the way, for what it's worth, and I don't want to sound like a naysayer. We're obviously all the grassroots here.
No. We all understand what you're trying to say, Joe.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
I got a little passionate there for a second. I apologize.
All right. We all get that way. Yeah. Got to have a little beer at the end of the day, I guess. Sometimes not, I guess. All depends on the day. So some days I just walk away in disgust. What are you going to do? You know what I mean?
That's it.
I fry half things in my garage and I just throw my hands up and I go, dude, I'm just done for the day. Like it's only going to get worse from here on in, because then I'm going to try to force something to work, and then I'm really going to be in shame. So, yeah. Brendan calls you negative Nancy.
You asshole! He's such a liar. He knows I'm the most positive person in the world, and I love everybody.
There we go. Yeah, you got the wine bottles right there, man. Those things are cool. When he wraps them with the coils, I gotta try that. First, I gotta find somebody to drink the wine, because that stuff tastes horrifyingly bad. It's like tart and nasty. It doesn't go down well. Sorry, just not a fan.
Yeah, pizza though.
Yeah, too much redneck. If you give me a Mountain Dew and some duct tape, I'm good. Build something. Which is absolutely hilarious, by the way, because I converted energy from a radiant energy field into a DC field, DC energy with a freaking soda can, which I think is just hilarious. It's like a joke on everybody. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, this isn't that hard. You're making it overly complicated, so let's just do something really stupid, and I'm going to show you it works.
I wanted you to do it with actual soda in it. And then...
Yeah, if you're holding it. You stand over it.
I'll use one of those
I'll turn it on.
You know those long extending claws?
No. You want the soda in it. I already know what's going to happen.
What if I drink it and all my hair stands up?
That'd be the best. We get a picture of Ben and his hair standing up, put it on a t-shirt.
Soda in the hand.
you know, after you do it, I'm going to have to try it. That's just the way it works around here. So as soon as Ben's hair stands up, old man Bill's hair is going to stand up, and what I have left of it, this little part, will stand up.
Listen, I want a picture of all of it. Those are emojis. Like we need to refresh the emojis if those pictures happen.
Picture of all of it. We're coming to your house, buddy. We're going to just put them all outside.
You guys are always welcome.
Oh, man.
It's cold as hell here, though. I'm just warning you.
Yeah, it's freezing.
We'll wait till summer.
It's how cold is it there? It's probably really, really cold there.
Well, it was like summer here. Like I think it was like 28 or 29 degrees today.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well, yeah, I said it's like summer here because in contrast to last week, it was like negative 18.
Yeah, negative 18. That's more what I was expecting to hear. I was like, what?
Yeah, like it got cold, like real cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think actually it was negative 11, negative 18 wind chill. Now that I'm thinking about it, but regardless, I mean it's insane.
Yeah,
it's just
that's cold. Last week it was like -6 here. That's the
Brandon. You know I'm not talking Celsius. I always send you both whenever I tell you what it's doing here. negative 27. All right,
it's like
Celsius.
It's like 55 here. It's nice.
Yeah, it's fair.
No snow. We don't know what snow is here in California, not unless you live in the mountains.
If you see snow, you're probably like, "What? That's not snow. What the hell is that? Ash."
Somebody threw their drug shipment out of the airplane at the wrong spot, and it just busted.
Hey, right?
What was it, like a cocaine bear or whatever?
Yeah.
It was a great movie, like literally 10 out of 10.
I didn't see it yet. I'm gonna
Oh
check
my
it
god,
out.
yeah, that should be on your agenda, man.
Oh,
Cocaine bear.
it's a Joe clarifier for Canadians.
Yeah.
Oh, where's that at? Why is it going to? Oh man,
Super props to Negrez Coils for watching us at like an ungodly hour.
Oh yeah, he's in what is it? Is it South Africa? Or what is it? Where is he at?
I don't know. You just said the time. It's 28 degrees Celsius there, though, so it's definitely quite a bit warmer than where we are. Generally, that sounds hot, or warm, well, like warm hot at least. South Africa. All right.
That's what he is, right?
That's what Elias said.
Oh, okay. So funny, man. Yeah, that's cool, man. I like the Thunderstorm Generator, man. That's kind of cool. I didn't realize what you guys were talking about right away, like months ago when we were talking about it. I didn't get I was so involved in what I was doing and figuring it out. So
I'm gonna embarrass myself and say that the first time I heard about it, I thought it was like a weather device.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit of watching what it was doing to understand what it was doing. But you know, once it made sense, I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Well, don't fool yourself, man. Once we start playing with the resonance inside the Earth, and you get down to the hertz, we're going to start affecting the weather.
I know. Yep.
That's why they don't want you to do it. They won't even let you, run your coils at very low hertz, because then they'll show up at your house with their little device that tells you where you are.
Well, let me tell you, man, I had seen with my own two eyes a phenomena that at the time I wouldn't have been able to say what in the world could possibly cause it, but I now know exactly what it is. And it was like, for lack of a better way to put it, like scalar striping in the clouds, where there was full plumy cloud cover up ahead, like really, really cotton ball kind of clouds, right? But running stripe after stripe, equidistant stripe, clear blue sky right up ahead of it. And at the time I was like, that is literally the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. Took a picture of it on one of my old phones, God knows which one, and knew nothing really about it. And then I start kind of getting my head around a lot of this stuff, I was like, wait a second, I know exactly what that was. That's the only thing that could cause that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy when you start thinking about how easy this stuff is once you break it down. We're not talking about that many different fields that you have to know. I mean, I don't know. My science class in high school was harder than what I'm doing now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. The fundamentals, I always say this, it's both simultaneously the most simple thing and at the same time the most complex thing that exists on the planet simultaneously. It's super weird like that because it's really not difficult, but it entails everything. So comes a little difficult.
There's a learning curve for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And everybody knows I just pull stuff out of my ass as I like, you know, like I don't really know anything. I just say what sounds right.
Well, it's more interesting than pulling it out of your sleeve, I guess, as a magician.
I pulled it out of my magician hat.
Wow. Those are so bad.
I know. We just derailed. I apologize, Nathan.
Supposed to be a rabbit, but it ended up being like, instead of a rabbit, a rabid weasel. I just wanted to like chew on my face like I'm Frank Zappa or something, you know?
Oh man.
Wow. As soon as you came on the show, Joe, today, off the rails.
That wasn't my fault for one time.
Oh, no. Right away it was.
Oh, then it was my fault.
Yeah. and then later on, we came back to it.
Yeah.
That's normal, though.
Listen, it's like how I diet. You know, you do really good, and then you fall off the wagon. But you get back on, but then you fall off the wagon.
Yeah. You know what? If they had some kind of water that was actually good, that tasted good, I'd be okay on a diet all day long. It's not the food that gets me; it's the drinks. You know what I mean? Got to have some kind of iced tea or something to change up the day. And everything you have has too many calories in it. And I won't drink diet stuff. It tastes like dirt. You know what I mean?
Salsa?
Yeah, it's trash.
Yeah, I like salsa. You see, it's not about the food. I can go without eating. It's not that whatsoever.
No, I'm saying seltzer water, like seltzer.
God, no. God.
No? See, that's all I drink. I drink that crap and energy drinks all day long. That's why I'm a crackhead. Just live off of caffeine.
I'd have a heart attack if I had energy drinks all day.
You know me, I'm slamming into the Slim Jim. Oh yeah!
Macho Man Ben Savage.
Let me tell you, boy.
Ben Savage. Yeah, for real. That's your new nickname, brother. Benny Savage.
He traded in his hard hat for a cowboy hat with some tassels on it. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Plenty of material for that Star Trek that hasn't happened yet, Nathan.
Oh, come on now. I think I actually did backyard wrestling, man.
Yeah?
I got off the top rope and jumped and dropped an elbow and everything, man.
Woo!
So, yeah, I did it for years. It was pretty fun, man.
Well, I remember the picture of you that you showed us when you were younger, and now I'm just imagining that dude with the hair being like...
I was a lot skinnier, too. Yeah. I was barely pushing 200 pounds back then, man. It was like...
Yeah, no beard, nothing.
No beard, nothing. Yeah, long hair. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. It's been 2 hours. We did a cool job on the Thunderstorm Generator, man. Next time, we're going to have to get somebody to run one of these things for us so we can check it out.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah. So I just want to tell everybody thank you in the chat. And also, I just want to say one more time, real quick, if I can. Oh, nope, don't have it up. Give me a second to pull it up. Want to thank everybody who's a member of Ben's channel and my channel. I really do appreciate it. So give me. Oh,
Thank
Yeah,
you
big
guys
shout
for
out
letting me
to-
come on today and invade your Monday show.
yeah,
You're
no
most
problem.
welcome. Yeah, anytime, Joe. Anytime you want to come on, obviously you're part of the team. So we'd love to
Thank
have
you
you
kindly.
on. And we do like to thank our members as well. That it's really awesome to see so many new members, and we're so close to unlocking new emojis. I still have to make your face though, Joe.
Thank you
So
kindly.
we're gonna make you an emoji.
Then
That'd be fun.
we're all waiting on that lab coat. By the way, are you
Yeah.
making one of those or what?
Who, me?
Yeah, are you making one or is that
No, Gerald.
Gerald?
Gerald said he was gonna make one. I mean, I
Um,
guess I could, but it's gonna be pretty far down on the list of priorities right now.
No, it's no problem. All right, guys.
Oh.
With everything said, go ahead.
I
Did you have a
do
little
have-
update or video to show?
Just
before we get out of here?
I have the sticker. I can
You
put
have
this
a
on my
sticker.
laptop.
Oh, that's a very interesting effect with the green screen thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like a magnetic or chromatic. But yeah, that's just a sticker. I can put
Oh,
it
that
on
looks great, man.
No, I will have some updates. I'll probably go live tomorrow. Maybe even later tonight if I feel up to it. But I will have some updates for you guys on my channel regarding the lumen lamp and the lightning thief. So, but I appreciate everything, guys. It's been fun. This was a fun stream.
Good
All right,
deal,
guys.
folks.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, good deal, folks.
All right, guys. Thank you very much in the chat, guys. You guys have been awesome tonight. Have a great night, guys.